Drama comes in many forms in the world and takes shape in people's minds in many different ways. White Tiger and Silent Hill are excellent examples of how personal and collective trauma and fear are personified in media to relay a deeper message about what causes the trauma. In White Tiger, collective trauma from World War II creates the White Tiger tank entity. Let's look deeper into Silent Hill. The main protagonist, Hinako, is suffering through her trauma of the expectations of marriage, leaving her friends, childbearing, and more. She is being thrust into a forced marriage that will completely change her life. The Kashamashi represents Hinako's fears of conformity. The exaggerated femininity and nakedness of these monsters may represent the submissive nature she must display once married. Another monster, which I believe is called the Hatcher, is a great example of personification of her trauma. This monster has lots of pregnant growths on its body, which spawn other enemies from. This one is pretty on the nose, but it represents Hinako's fear of motherhood. The last monster that I want to talk about is the Kamagura, which lacks any facial features, which are replaced with a gaping hole in its face. We see other bouts of faceless symbolism throughout the game, which I believe refers to the loss of individuality that Hinako will go through upon marriage. She will simply become a tool for the birthing of her husband's children and will not receive love. That is her fear. The reason that these fears exist is because of the social pressure and norms that existed within Japanese society in the 1960s during her time. The best piece of symbolism that occurs in Silent Hill F is definitely the rituals that take place. These rituals take place in a dream world, but give us a good idea of what is going on in Hinako's head. The rituals are pretty gruesome, so this is your trigger warning if you're sensitive to that. The first ritual involves Hinako's arm being replaced with a fox's arm, symbolizing how she will change in marriage. The second ritual sees Hinako being branded, symbolizing her transition into property. The last ritual, which is very on the nose, shows Hinako's upper face being cut off and replaced with a fox mask. This symbolizes her losing her individuality. The symbolic rituals that Hinako experiences in her dream world are a great representation of how she is feeling and how many other Japanese women may have felt in the 1960s, making it very relatable. Let's transition to the White Tiger. The White Tiger tank is proposed to be a ghost of war, not created by man, but created by war itself. Sounds like a personification of trauma. Historically, in World War II, Tiger I tanks were extremely effective on the Eastern Front against the Russian forces. So effective that significant amounts of losses on the Tiger Is were because of mechanical failure and not from enemy attacks. Now let's talk about the psychological toll that this took on Russian soldiers. At the Battle of Kursk, a Tiger tank commander named Franz Staudager survived an attack from around 50 Russian T-34 tanks. He and his crew were credited by the Nazi propaganda machine with 22 enemy tanks destroyed. Though this story may not be exactly true, The Nazi propaganda ministry's ability to come up with such a frightening story during the war would be absolutely mind-breaking to any Russian soldiers. The psychological product of the story is the most important part. Rumors would spread like wildfire, stirring up conflict within the Russians. The Tiger tank had a reputation within the Russian army, and this ideology, fear, and trauma built up. The movie White Tiger gives us a Silent Hill-esque representation of the fear of the collective consciousness of the Russian army. And just like Silent Hill F, we follow one person who has been deeply affected by the fear of the masses. To tie in the relation of both White Tiger and Silent Hill F, we must explore the psyches of each main protagonist. Hinako has a troubled mind and was given psychedelic pills that caused her traumas to manifest even more realistically in her mind, eventually pushing her to insanity. Ivan in The White Tiger is also mentally unstable as we see him schizophrenically talking and listening to tanks on the battlefield of war. His personal trauma is at play. We also know that there may be unnatural forces at play because of the recovery from his burns, which is very unnatural. The initial shot we see of him, I feel, represents his rebirth into his new self. He was reborn in that tank, and upon leaving it, he became someone new. New name and new psychic powers. Or mental problems. Even the fog present in The White Tiger when Ivan speaks to his superiors is reminiscent of the fog present in the Silent Hill games. Fog represents uncertainty and a sort of uncanniness and fear of the unknown that in both cases eats at the soul. In this scene in The White Tiger, Ivan implies that he is a dead man and should not return to the living. He is basically saying that his past self should not come back and who he is now should remain.
Я хотел двинуться, увести танк влево или назад, и не мог шевельнуть рукой.
Ты его видел?
Да, видел. Белый тигр. Он нас сжег всех до одного.
Какой Найденов?
Similar documents can be found in Silent Hill F, where people say that Hinako is dead. In the grand scheme of the story, they're referring to her past self, which will be buried whenever she becomes married. Both characters are trying to move past their old selves and attempt to leave their trauma behind them, but are still haunted by their past. Both forms of media show us that the institutions that were in place at the time hurt individual people and the masses. The military in the case of White Tiger, and marriage norms and laws in the case of Silent Hill F. Facelessness and uniforms are both signs of loss of individuality. In Silent Hill F, one of Hinako's biggest fears was losing her individuality whenever she became married. In White Tiger, putting on a uniform signifies that you're just another soldier to be thrown out on the front lines to become cannon fodder. Silent Hill and White Tiger personify trauma in different ways, but still show the effects of social pressures like fighting in war and the loss of self due to marriage. Silent Hill explores personal trauma felt very deeply within Hinako that is felt by many Japanese women, while White Tiger explores Ivan's personal trauma, which is also felt collectively by the Russian military.